From national parks to outer space, the effects of the shutdown here in Washington is being felt all over the country. For more on what's happening, Nathan King joins us live from the White House on the impact. Hi, Nathan.
That's right, Philip. Don't expect the government to reopen after 24 hours. We've seen all that in Congress, but we've also seen on the streets of the nation's capital here, Washington, D.C., is, remember, 19 million tourists come here nearly every year, and some of them are getting shut down as well.
I just want to get a quick picture.
Welcome to Washington. We are closed. That was the message at museums and monuments around the capital from tourists like Elaine and Qing from China's Henan province.
This kind of the museum is very attractive, so a little disappointment.
Today I think is more quiet than yesterday.
We take around about here.
These German visitors express confusion over why everything is closed. Would this happen in Germany?
No, I never think so that it will happen.
On the famous Washington Mall, silence as tens of thousands of tourists stayed away and hundreds of thousands of workers stayed home. Among them, in the Interior Department, 82% are not working. Space agency NASA, 97% of employees aren't working either. Homeland Security, however, only 14% of employees aren't working. The Secret Service officers are exempt. US President Obama also signed a late-night bill which continues to pay the US military while the government is on shutdown. But the others face uncertainty.
I urge House Republicans to reopen the government, restart the services Americans depend on, and allow the public servants who have been sent home to return to work.
As for the cost of the closures, the last government shutdown, which lasted 27 days, cost about $3 billion in today's money. Not huge, but 800,000 consumers not spending soon adds up. And especially for the U.S. nation's capital. Economists estimate the cost to D.C. alone could be $200 million a day. But there are more things at stake than money. America's national prestige is potentially hit every time a tourist turns away from one of the shuttered monuments. Then there is the National Zoo, closed not just for physical visitors. Since a baby panda cub was born here to Mum Mei Zhang just 5 weeks ago, there has been a panda cam capturing her every move. That too was turned off as the government shut down Monday night. Pandas aside, it feels like a zoo here in Washington at the moment, with the White House growling at the Congress and the same back. All the while, the cost continues to rise. But the real cost could come in 2 weeks or so, Philip, when America reaches its debt limit on around October the 17th. Then we could be in for a bigger shock than we're seeing now.
Nathan, that brings me to my question. You and I have covered these stories in Washington for some time now, and I have to tell you, over the last couple of days, there did not seem the kind of panic or crisis mode that politicians were used to seeing them in. And as you get closer to this debt ceiling debate, are they doing anything to avoid that?
You're starting to see real worry, especially from the Treasury Secretary, Jack Lew. He's just written an emergency letter to Congress, basically imploring them to raise that debt ceiling. He says if they don't by October the 17th, we could see the first ever default by the US on bond payments around the world. He said basically by October the 17th, the US Treasury will have $30 billion left in the kitty. On some days, they have liabilities of $60 billion. If, for example, the markets around the world were confused about which US Treasury bonds would pay interest and which ones wouldn't, can you imagine how the investment houses would cope with that? And that's what the Treasury and the White House is really worried about. So in a way, this government shutdown over the last couple of days or so is basically a warm-up for the big war that we see ahead.
2 words, financial Armageddon. Nathan King, thank you very much.